based on true events. Paris 2014.
Oui, hello Marcel. Hope you and the family are well. Listen, you know those 2,000 trains that we ordered for the 15 billion euro, yeah? Well, we have a big problem. They are too wide for the stations, you know, for the concrete. So they cannot run. Yeah, I know. Anyway, the president has been informed, so you have to call me back. Urgent, okay? Urgent. Au revoir. Merci. Au revoir. Call me.
Working late tonight? Make it McDelivery.
More music, more inspiration.
Welcome to another episode of PKUnshackled. My name is Makau Katile, and I'm spending my Sunday morning with that amazing Colleen Quist. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Indeed, Colleen Quist. That's it.
Wow. So yeah, it's. I was worried that I'm gonna pronounce your name incorrectly because I don't like when people can't say Makawe.
Like me.
So yeah,
I think I mangle it every now and again. Yes.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Luckily, we have Q's in both our names and surnames. So yeah. So, Colleen, South Africa has a huge problem of GBV. Now, I listen to a lot of discussion. I have a movement called Ezamadoda, and you know, it seems to me the majority of discussions on this GBV thing don't necessarily come from the whole demographic of people in South Africa. Just comes from a black perspective, and that's why, you know, the faces of GBV perpetrators 9 times out of 10 are men. Well, they are, but the faces, it is as if all these other cultures, races, spiritualities don't do GBV. So yeah, that's what we're gonna talk about today. Is GBV colorblind? So yeah, let's take a quick break. If you at home, we want to top up your whiskey, because I know people drink whiskey on a Sunday like me, or you want to make coffee, make a quick cup of coffee, because this discussion will be very interesting.
Give a little, help a lot. Make getting back to school easier for families by paying towards their PEP lay-by. Give as little as 2 Rand in-store or 20 Rand online. Make a difference. Become a lay-by buddy today.
Playing the music you love.
This is Vuka Online, your inspiration radio station.
24 hours of non-stop anthems.
You found me when I was alone. You held me and you made my heart your home. I sat around and dreamed, and there's no I see, 'cause there's no one else for me. I don't feel like crying. I have no tears, 'cause I my heart
Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in to PKUnshackled. My name is Makal Katide, otherwise known as Bishop. Yeah, they call me Bishop, but there's no religious affiliation to the title. It's just something that I like. Call me Bishop. So, Colleen, GBV, is it a colorblind thing? Does it go across the board, or do we as black men are worse than our white brothers?
Okay, so are we talking about victims? Are you talking about victims of GBV and F, or are you talking about people who perpetrate?
I'm talking about everything: perpetrators, victims, and the in-between.
All right. So basically, gender-based violence and femicide is totally neutral. It is colorblind. It goes across anyone and everyone. And it's not only linked to men on women, it's across the board from a gender point of view, race, socioeconomic status, poverty status, no matter where, how, what, it's for everybody, unfortunately. Yes.
But, so if you Google white perpetrators, GBV, South Africa, you find nothing. There's no article, there's no reference to one incident that, our white counterparts murder their wives. For example, I went to, a few years ago, I was in a shop and I saw this groot oom, claps the stunny, and no one did anything, like, but I can guarantee you, if it was in a spa in Katlehong, you go slap this, people will be like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, why are you doing? And from that, I got the impression that not necessarily only the whites, but all other cultures, races, and all part of the demographics, they hide this thing of GBV very well. Now, why do you think that happens?
Okay, so I think in terms of hiding, okay, first let's look at the population, where there are more than 10 times more black people than there are white people. So like when you look at the census, 49 million black people versus only 4.6 million white people. So sometimes what you see, you're going to see maybe more stories with black people because there are more than 10 times more people in the first place. But in terms of it being more, maybe more in the open, is also maybe because traditionally, not always and not for everyone, okay, I think that black people have lived more of a community kind of lifestyle. Of you would know what's happening with your neighbor next door. I don't even know my neighbor next door's name. We have walls, we have dogs, and we have, good grief, you don't just come visit me and pop in for sugar. It's something that you need to meet each other or pre-arrange, or you don't just walk over and go, hey, what you doing today? And that is, and I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily white culture, but I'd say more living in the suburbs of saying, you don't drop by and go, hey, I came to share your lunch. Heavens, no, you haven't. Yes.
Okay, so I understand your statement when you say it's probably where you live, but the fact remains that there are abusive white marriages, whether from a male perspective or from a female perspective. Now, without obviously saying any names, have you ever encountered somebody saying, Colleen, my husband claps me now and then, and it's not as bad as the other GBV from the other races, or an incident like that. Have you ever experienced that?
Okay, so definitely I know white women who are and have been abused. They have never compared it and said that their abuse is less than anybody else's.
Yes.
Yeah. And it certainly wouldn't be less than. Yes.
Yeah. But is it reported? Have they? Because one big thing about GBV is that people are not reporting it. Those who do, it's a very small number, and the cops don't know what to do with GBV and femicide.
I think that's why we also have so many NGOs. We've got so many organizations that have almost taken over the work. So the other day, I interviewed Mara Glennie from the Tears Foundation, as a white woman, okay, and she openly speaks about her story and her interactions that were less than desirable with her husband. And she started a whole foundation so that other women don't need to go through that. And I mean, obviously not being an expert on her story, but certainly if you look at the Tears Foundation, they have also got a heartbreaking lineup almost of women who are holding placards of giving, like a sentence of their story.
Yeah.
But yes, so certainly, I think also, when you have been violated in whatever way, you've got to weigh up the thing of like, okay, what do you do with this information? Are you going to go somewhere where you parade it in front of people, where no one listens, where they don't take you seriously? And a lot of it is that the perpetrator often has power.
Yeah.
And it could be, that certain perpetrators have got more power in a community. But I mean, I've also seen a while back, I worked with women who had been abused and they were pastors' wives. And it was very much about, we need to keep this quiet, because all think about the pastors like standing in the community. Personally, I'm the type of person, I don't give a flying whatever about his, let's get you out of here, let's sort this. But people often aren't willing to do that because, what will the community think is more important.
Yeah, what will my family think? That's the bigger problem, where people say, forget the community, and especially from the African culture, black culture, they would say, we gave you to this family, you are now belong to them, and when you think of leaving, it's a problem. But let's take a quick break. My throat's a bit dry, and I know that some of you enjoyed the football and rugby yesterday, and it's lekker gekeken. So let's take a quick break for refreshments and advertising, obviously.
Build generational wealth and save when you combine life and funeral cover. Take one dealer here. For just 347 Rand per month, he gets 1.5 million Rand life cover plus 15,000 Rand funeral cover for his wife. Or Prisha, who gets 1 million Rand life cover plus 15,000 Rand funeral cover for her grandmother for just 297 Rand per month. Build your generational wealth plan today with One Life. Go to onelife.co.za today. One Life. Changing lives.
You're listening to Vuka Online.
Vuka, 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 fondi nisambe. Vuka, vuka, fondi nisambe. Daddy.
Sing it for me, please, yeah. Dexter Gordon, Charlie Parker too, yes. John Coltrane, you've been gone, yeah. Said we miss you. Charles Holloway too. Sammy Davis Jr., you've been gone, yes. Louis Armstrong, Bessie Smith too. You've been gone so very long. Said we miss you. Come back now. Donna Hathaway, you've been gone, yes.
If you suspect your dog of having a foul mouth, try Super Breath Dog Bones from Fido. Available at all reputable pet stores and supermarkets nationwide.
More music, more inspiration. Vuka Online.
Welcome back to this very interesting discussion I'm having with my colleague. Yes, Colleen Quest is my colleague at Vuka. So a few weeks ago, we did an episode on circumcision. So I'm going to throw something in here. 700 young people have died because of botched circumcisions or other medical related incidences relating to that practice. So yeah, if you get time, catch the episode. It's available on our YouTube page, Vuka Online YouTube page. Very interesting discussion, very controversial. A lot of my friends still don't talk to me because of that. Thank you very much, Colleen. But moving on. So as a coach, so one of the things that I realize is that, especially from a leadership point of view, I mean, if you're a coach, you're a leader because there's certain knowledge, there's certain, privileges, insights that you have to more than any other person. So from a coaching perspective, I'll tell you what, when we grow up, it's God, Jesus, God, Jesus, God, Jesus, you will die, God, Jesus, heaven. That's what you're taught. So there's no empowerment, from a coaching perspective, there's no empowerment to young people. Firstly, to men, to shape their thinking to a place where they're responsible. They're part of the solution, not the problem. That's the first problem. Second problem is in the African culture, black culture. They would tell you, Vazi, you must submit. You must submit. So there is no calculated or deliberate intention to empower young people. So let me throw the ball in your court. So in your culture or your race, if I may use that word, is there something that happens or that you do to empower your spawn, your younglings, to say, you know what, this is the reality we live in, and this is the lessons that we have learned and we are passing on to you? Do you do that, or not? Is the God Jesus, here?
So I think the focus on the religion is not only at a race level. Okay, I grew up in a very Christian family. I grew up in a very submit to your husband, your God is the head of the house, the man is the next, and the woman follows up, and then somewhere along come the kids. It is something that I think we'll get to my husband, but certainly my mother had a very version of, yes, you're the head of the house, but she was the neck. And it was very much that they worked together. It was, they got things done. And my mother has never, ever been, she never was. She's passed away now. She never was somebody, she never belonged to somebody else. She always ran the money in our house, So I think it's more an individual story of how it is. And I would say for me, I've stepped out even more out of that, in that I did not promise to obey. There's categorically no ways that I obey. You must be joking. Yes, and so my husband and I are equal partners. We have discussions. There are things one does, the other one doesn't do. I have a husband who washes dishes. But it's also about, I have a career and I'm not only a wife. I'm not only a mother. I have a brain and an intelligences, and that's why my husband married me, because I'm not just a wife. And I'm not saying that being a wife isn't really important, but it's from that point of view of, and obviously my daughter has been raised with that as well, where she would then say, I remember her as a little girl where I was filling in the census form, and I said, can you believe it, asked for the head of the house, and I filled in my husband's name. And she said, but Mom, why are you putting Dad's name in it? I said, it's just a form, that kind of story. Let's not upset the form. But it's so outdated in that that's the norm of like men are. So it's not necessarily a white thing. It's more, patriarchal society. It's more, and there's no patriarchal society in my life. And that's also why I don't do organized religion, because it's patriarchal.
Okay, so would you say that and I know I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Would you say that the white community is more patriarchal than the black community?
No, I wouldn't say that anybody's more patriarchal. I think that there are equal doses. And especially when you look at traditional English, when you look at your traditional Afrikaans, here we are having generalizations here. And also when you look at your traditional Zulu, or, let's not think that black culture is only one culture, because it isn't. Okay, so when you look at your traditional versions of all of those, men rule.
No, they rule. But is that because women have allowed them to rule, or because women are scared of this GBV? Because at the end of the day, you find a doctor, somebody who spent 7 years learning how to treat people, the most complex of operations in the brain, and they can shift your medulla oblongata, and then this guy goes and claps his wife, or rapes his wife. Something is wrong here. And I know that I'm gonna sidetrack to bashing men, which I love doing, but something is very, very wrong. The fact that with all the dynamics that we have as a community, this GBV demon is across the board. I can't say us black men are more prone to partake in GBV activities. No, I mean, you said that there's people that and the fact that there's people that makes this whole thing very worrisome, very, very worrisome. But let's take another quick break, and then you said something earlier on the show about pastors' wives. I'm glad you did. We're going to have a brief discussion about GBV and pastors' wives.
What do most banks know about simplicity? About what it means to live better?
Do you really need all those accounts that cost you more just because you earn more? And the hoops you have to jump through for the free rewards that you hardly ever use. Aren't you just tired of it?
What if I told you there's a simpler way? A bank that takes all the complexity of banking and turns it
on its head. Capitec is doing just that, using technology to cut the cost of banking and put the value back in your pocket with Live Better benefits that you can get immediately, making you feel valued when you need it most. Here's a bank that invests in innovative solutions to simplify your life so that you can live better. Simplify banking. Live better.
You're listening to Vuka Online.
Vuga vuga, vuga vuga, fondi sambe. Vuga vuga, fondi sambe. Daddy.
Silver moon shining on my bed beside my pillow.